Welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You are now part of a small underground movement of dent technicians from all over the world. We are on a mission to change our industry with innovation, intelligence, and skill. But because we don't rely on an insurance company to steer customers our way, we need to do things different. We need to do things smarter. We do that through a network of technicians that we call the Tactical Tech Movement. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with Angela Hiley on the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. And I think we are on time right now. It is Wednesday.
Yes.
A little bit towards the end of the day. This is going to be a short podcast, though, but...
Because I have to go to therapy.
She's got to go to therapy. Kind of like that, though. It's some interesting stuff.
It's holistic. It's
Holistic.
like a holistic like therapy session.
Hey, y'all getting a little too woo-woo for me right here. I think I'll go ahead and turn off the radio. It's not a radio, fucker. It's a podcast.
I'm working on myself.
All right. So, yeah, we all try to do that, right?
Yeah. Gotta be the best version possible.
Yeah. So, I chisel away at myself occasionally. Sculpting.
I get on you about that.
Yeah. So anyhow, y'all, we want to talk a little bit today because, here for the longest time, anytime somebody called about hail damage, the wifey here who answers the phones, as many of you guys know, she would totally freeze up like a deer in headlights.
Yes.
And then hand the phone to me.
Yes.
Because, she basically just felt like she was either going to botch the deal or felt that she didn't have the right information or the right knowledge to educate the client and customer exactly what to do.
I wasn't confident in myself of doing the job and landing the deal all the way.
Right. So, and the second thing is she wasn't sure 100% about how to, we do a little bit of qualifying when it comes to people calling us for hail damage repair.
I didn't know the whole script. That's what it was.
We don't want to fuck with people who want us to write. Everybody has this idea, and I'm sure many of you guys deal with this, that after they get their insurance money, check, whatever, usually it's some, much lower. I mean, it's to the point where it's so much lower, even the average person would know, like, man, I can't fix my car for like $1,400.
Yeah.
Minus my deductible, so it's now they give me a $900 check, right?
Yeah.
But they get this idea that they think they can travel around and find a shop that's willing to write them a full blow estimate, leave, and then go back to their insurance company and argue that they should get more money, right?
Yeah.
Which is, in my case, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but around here, the insurance companies, they don't fuck with it. They basically just tell the client and customer, okay, well, drop it off at the shop and then they'll bill us. They'll, obviously file a supplement. But essentially, that's what the customer gets. But then we get all these people that call. And man, you can just tell, like, with all these red flags. So that was a second thing that Angela had to learn as well. And I'm proud to say over the last, probably the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
She has been successfully, because I'm busy as fuck out here. Can't stop every moment and take a phone call. She successfully became a hail damage closer.
But this is what I did, is when John would be on the phone talking to the customer, I was like a sponge, and I just soaked in all that information. I listened to, there were key points in that phone conversation that he hit every time. And basically, I just absorbed it, and then when I started talking to the clients on the good old telephone, I just basically did what he did.
So let's talk about some of the key points on that hail damage phone call.
Yeah.
Client and customer calls you to begin with, and they tell you got a hail damage car. What's the very first thing you tell them? You ask them.
I ask them and see I ask them and see if they're paying out of pocket or if they are going to be submitting this through their insurance company. Then if they tell me if they are submitting it through their insurance company, I ask them and see if they have been in contact with their insurance company. Has an adjuster been out? Do you have a claim number? And when they're like, yeah, we have a claim number, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead and figure out a time when you can drop that vehicle off, and we can go ahead and get it repaired for you. And then I talk about if there needs to be a supplement, and how long it takes for the adjuster to come back out if we put in a supplement. And then I tell them how long it's going to take for the vehicle to get repaired. And then I let them know how long, they will need their rental car.
Yeah, see, we're a very, very transparent business. We don't want to surprise anybody. We don't want to tell people to drop it off and it'll be done within a few days.
Yeah.
We try to give very realistic expectations. And
plus, like, another thing that I do that John doesn't do is I will listen to them. Like, they can keep me on the phone for an extra 10 minutes if I have to.
Oh, and they do.
And I don't care, though, because to me, it's no big deal. I'm like, if I have to listen to you, which I have no problem whatsoever, but if this is going to, like, land this deal, then I am more than willing to listen.
Yeah, and kind of the cool thing is, like, she comes off really kind of unthreatening. I mean, and we are like that as a business anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't try to hard close anybody. We don't try to make them feel pressured to make an appointment. We just don't really do any of that. I mean, in all honesty, I think the foundation of the business is built on transparency. We like to let clients and customers, like, actually know what they're up against.
And plus, when I'm talking on the phone with a client, I have a very sweet and understanding voice.
Yeah, that actually helps a lot, I think. Because I want to say, geez, you've probably closed at least, 5 or 6 hail damage cars within the last couple days.
Yes.
And, yeah, I think that's really the point I want to get across to a lot of folks out there is that in your business, you usually got these triggers or these things like, through business, just in general, talking to clients and customers, just by talking to them, we've kind of find out what works, right?
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning, a lot of that's trial and error, know?
Exactly.
And we're saying things, we're talking to the clients and customers, and then all of a sudden we hit a few trigger words, it triggers them, it works, we land the deal, we make the sale.
Yeah.
Well, I really think the key is not only to use them trigger words when you're talking, trying to close the individual on the phone, or using that as what she was saying, kind of like a sale or a script, right?
Yeah.
To close the client and customer for somebody else to do it for you, guys. That's the key. But also think about them trigger words when you're writing a Facebook ad.
Mm-hmm.
Think about them when you're doing the advertisement on your website. Like, what your ideal clients and customers are responding to.
Yeah.
And that alone is enough to not only create your Facebook ads, to create flyers, to create brochures. Like, all of this shit is, like, right here in front of us. Like, all the marketing we need is right here.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever done a successful job at closing your ideal clients and customers, it's right there.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put it together,
Mm-hmm.
put it to work.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So she's became great at that, and I think that's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
And they're actually, as many of you guys know, if you've listened to some of the last podcasts, I've been studying a lot about how to scale and how to kind of systemize your business, how to think a little bit bigger, how to operate like a Fortune 500 company, even though we're just a small business.
Yeah.
Because we want that competitive advantage. We want to do things. We want to definitely stretch our capabilities. And not only that, have predictable systems that work.
Yeah.
Right? And like one of the coolest things about being a smaller business but operating like a big business by, understanding really what works, we can make changes on the fly like much quicker than a big business.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to say that this is a competitive advantage against any giant business. And not to mention most folks out there, okay, so they want the big business experience, like in the sense of consistency,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of, the right type of treatment,
Yeah.
quality, I don't know if they identify quality anymore with big businesses, but they want all of that, the systems in a big business, but they want the quality of a small business.
Exactly.
And they want that mom and pop feel of a smaller business. So when you begin taking your company and combining them two things together,
Yeah.
you got something phenomenal. You got a nice little cocktail of really good systems to allow you to, instead of being just a day-to-day operator, you're actually building systems that are scalable and that can move in your company for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that being said, I also want to tell you guys that we are getting ready to kind of interesting. I'm actually talking about scaling systems and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually going through the process right now where I'm doing some mind mapping and actually creating some charts and some diagrams for the launch of our mega media event that's going to be coming in October.
Ooh. I'm
So
so
we're
fucking
only
stoked.
we're only doing one a year, and I will tell you guys that, man, it's gonna sell out quick. I know that we got some surprises coming along though. We're gonna change up the way
And
we're
the
doing
thing,
ticket
yeah,
sales.
and also the thing is like John has always been amazing and awesome the previous times, but this time around, you guys are going to be getting a new John Hiley to this
Well,
event.
that's technically because I'm not going to be drinking at the event because, I mean, since I started this 60-day thing, I haven't had a drink, and I just don't know if I really intend on doing it that often anymore. I'm getting so much more done, guys.
John has been on
I just
fire.
can't explain.
He's been on fire.
I didn't realize that drinking on the weekends and stuff like that was taking so much time out of my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it now when I step back and look, and I'm just, I did this whole cleanse, and I'm just feeling so good right now. I feel on fire.
You got this extra sparkle in your eyes.
Well, that's just because of you, baby. But anyhow, yeah, that's ideally, we're sitting here and actually doing an entire, map of, what's going to be offered, the actual structure of the event, all of that stuff is done. I think last week I might have talked a little bit about mind mapping software and using software to take the ideas that are in your mind and put them out on a piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
And I want you guys to think about that for your own business structure, right? Like, instead of just keeping everything contained inside of your mind. So we're sitting here talking about my wife here that previously in the past, I just kept everything in my own mind. When she had a hail damage phone call, she would contact me and I would call him back and I'd be here at the shop and she'd be at home.
Yeah.
And now that we're working together, she gets to sit right here beside me and see or actually get a chance to listen to what was actually in my mind, what was coming out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she got on the phone, she was able to pick it up and do it, right?
Yeah.
So, that's something that I could easily structured at one point and sat down with her. Or maybe just, even if she wasn't here, I could have recorded that and played it for her and got it out of my mind and got it on, a piece of paper or on a video or something to that nature. And that's one of the keys of creating, businesses that are scalable. For instance, the Mega Media event, I get some mind maps, like how are we going to launch it? What social networks am I going to use for the launch?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to map out exactly what videos I wanted. And then on top of that, I something that I created recently, and I'm going to talk about this, here on some future podcast, but I talk about pillar content. And then taking that pillar content, meaning, let me just break it down for you guys in the sense of a dent removal company, okay? So a piece of pillar content, maybe something you create like every 2 weeks, maybe every week, maybe once a month, would be like a full recording of you doing a dent removal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that right there would be pillar content, meaning it's a big long form. So maybe the video is 10, 12, 15 minutes long, right? So you take that pillar content and then you break it down into little snippets, okay? And them little snippets can be many things. It can be a before and after video.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a before and after photo during that piece of pillar content. It could be smaller videos compressed together off of that one piece of content. And it's amazing what you can do off of one piece of pillar content. And I truly believe that what clients and customers want to see in your paintless dent removal business is process.
Yeah.
They're intrigued by the process. There's still mystery behind it. It's not like fucking painting a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody would want to watch somebody fucking paint a house. But they do want to know, like, why are we so much cheaper? What are we doing different? How can we help them, right?
Yeah.
So process videos allows them to see that, but you can take that piece of pillar content and you can break it into like 10 other pieces of content.
Yeah.
And then you can take that and you can launch it into different arenas, which I keep telling you guys, stories are really popular right now. Facebook story is really doing well. On top of that, you can just spread out your content. And the more that you do this, you'll be surprised like how many people you impact. Like, you got to understand, you look at your Facebook page, for instance, how many people are on, or not your page, your actual personal Facebook. How many people in your community are actually like watching you on there, following you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people in your community are following you on your Instagram? If you listen to some of my Instagram secrets, you would know that it's very easy to get people to follow you back from your own community.
Yeah.
You just got to follow the process, right? And little snippets of content have a way of creating a buzz around your community that you're the man, that you're the person that people want to go with, right? But it all starts with the structure. I think a lot of people get stuck. Like, how do I do it? How do I do it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
It all starts with, number one, a piece of pillar content that you can break down into other pieces of content, right?
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You got to map it out.
Uh-huh.
You got to take physically what's in your brain. You got to map it out. And I think one of the other key things that you do as you break out, like, so you break out and you do a piece of pillar content. And I'm not going to lie, like some of my pillar content videos, like I'll forget to get a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll stand up and just do like an acting in the middle, like I'm doing the shot. You know, I know what shot I need, but I already did that part of the process. So I'll throw in a little bit of a pizzazz in there. Look, I want the videos to be interesting, right?
Yeah, you do.
So, and the crazy thing is, you got all the fucking capabilities in your damn pocket today.
Yes.
That phone in your pocket is a beast, man. You know, so it's so easy to do now. And I'm just telling you guys, holding that conversation with your community based in social media, that's your networking time. That's the time you network. That's the time that you're actually out there being a digital network. I believe it's more powerful than going face to face and networking, because you can actually impact and help more people. You can get out there and you can flow into more of your communities, and you can. I mean, there's so many things going on right now. There's community groups. You know, if you don't have a community group, go fucking start one.
Yeah.
You know, if that's your big priority, you know, start a group in your community. I mean, groups are going to be huge in Facebook here in the future. They are the future of Facebook. I mean, Facebook has even like changed their mission statement to being, you know, community group driven.
Yeah.
So what are you laughing about?
I was laughing at you. I was just thinking about something funny.
See this shit that I go through here. So
both of our dogs are like appalled with John's farting. That's what I was laughing
God,
about.
you were really,
because you told Trey Scott, remember that story about Lily or something when we were like sleeping, and then like you farted on Layla, and Layla was like, normally Layla would be like our American Bulldog. Normally she'd be like all up in it, like smelling it, something like that. John did it one day.
I think it's funny to fart right on my dog's heads.
And she was so appalled. She had like this disgusted look on her face and was just like backing up.
If my
away
miniature
from
schnauzer hears me farting right now, she has this little chain around her neck that jingles everywhere she goes. All I hear is jingle, 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 like off into the distance. Like she heads for Dodge.
No.
Because she knows next I'm grabbing her by her head and farting on it.
No, you said that we were sleeping. It was in the middle of the night. You scared her or something. And it was just like jingle, jingle, jingle.
But anyhow, guys, you really had to go there, didn't you? Every episode, I'm telling you.
And then today I ran them. Was that company RMAC? I ran them guys out of here.
Oh yeah, that is kind of funny. I guess we could talk about that quickly as a tech tip here, because do not do business with uniform companies. You know, do not do it. And if you do, make sure you have an attorney really look over the contracts, because you know, we've been waiting for 5 years to get out of this fucking contract. And be honest with you, you know what, man? I take personal responsibility for everything. It was my fault. I didn't check the contract appropriately. They signed me up for 5 years when I thought I was signing up for 2.
Yeah.
But you literally, these motherfuckers have it in the contract where you have to contact them so many days before the contract renews. Or so, you know, I think it's like 60 days or something like that. And actually send a certified fucking letter. And they're so shady, dude, that it's got me they're so shady, it's got me scared to not follow the procedure properly. So we're using our attorney to fucking go and write them the letter and make sure that he,
But they came in today, and John was like with a customer, and number one, I was like filling out a Kings Island pass for Jonathan, and then something, I don't know, I didn't get a confirmation afterwards, and I'm just like, what the fuck? So I started getting pissed off. Jonathan's here in the office getting all worried, thinking he's not going to have his Kings Island pass or something. And then these two guys come in, and I'm like, oh, and I thought...
Trying to renew our Airmark contract.
Yeah, and at first he said something like we were already re-enrolled, and I was like,
I would choke that
No.
motherfucker.
I was like, no. And I could tell right away that either one was probably all of them. He was afraid of me. He was lying, and he just didn't know what he was really walking into when he seen me.
You know what, guys? I actually got the breakdown from a guy who worked there, and he actually was one of the drivers that would come here and drop off the towels and all that kind of stuff, right? And he gave me the breakdown that they are fucking everybody over. He hated working there. He eventually quit the job, but he told me exactly what they do and how they were fucking over little small businesses and how they did it. They keep raising your rates and all this kind of shit. And it's no doubt that people who work for these companies, they know that they're in this type of business. So the person who came in here to do sales, he was probably trained to tell people that their contract already renewed.
And I was like, no,
Because
no,
what's
no,
the
no.
likelihood we still had that contract? I think that that's what they think.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe we don't still have that contract.
He's like, I was coming in here to see if I can get your rate lower. And I was like, no, we are not
Get our
doing
rate
this again.
lowered by
I was
signing another
like-
contract.
I told him, I'm like, you guys are a fucking ripoff. I was like, it was supposed to be this amount, and then you guys charge us this amount one week and this amount another week. And I think he was pretty thrown back with what he got from me. And then I was like, so I want you to, I was like, here, look over the contract, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, you have this amount of time, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I was just like, well, I need to know the exact address where I need to send this certified letter. And he thought I was going to write it down. I'm like, no, here you go. Here's a sticky note. Write the address down for me. And then John was still outside talking to a customer. And I was like, is there anything that you need from John? I was like, do you need to run anything, you know, by him, you know? And he's just like, no, I'm good. And I could just tell that they really wanted to get out of here.
Yeah, I didn't even know who they were because I came back from talking to a client out here in our front parking lot, was giving him an estimate, and two dudes just like bailed out of here. And I'm like, what the fuck? Who are they? You know?
Oh, and I seen on their...
I came in and she told me the whole deal of what happened. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, these motherfuckers.
Too bad I didn't have them new Dent Reaper tools. I would have grabbed one. I'd be like, would you
Oh, and
like me to
speaking of
take
that-
this and shove this up your ass?
Speaking of that, not only do I got some of them new Dent Reaper tools that are like, I don't know, you need to think about the Dent Reaper with like a stand line or quality polish
Them things are beautiful.
is what you're looking at right there. And I got some ideas on how to use them, but or some different ideas on some different ways to use them. But on top of that, we also got James Lee's brand new
I know.
light that is fucking amazing, man. It is like the whitest. You know, I know they used to have a fat head light. I don't know if the fat head's whiter, but it's like the whitest, most well-built light that I've ever seen.
If any of y'all met James Lee and his wife, they are just some of the most nicest, genuine people.
Yeah. And then I got a Pro PDR Solution stand coming here tomorrow.
Yes.
Got to give a shout out. A1 did a phenomenal job getting it here quick as fuck. I mean, I called them yesterday, and the light's going to be arriving tomorrow. Got it for what I thought was a great deal for the normal cost of the light. And man, they just shipped it out very quickly, and I love that customer service. I was, I hate to say this, but I was hesitant to call Pro PDR Solutions because of their previous customer service issues.
Yeah.
And I'd heard they still hadn't changed them. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can correct me. But they do make killer fucking light stands.
I'm telling you, customer service, it's really not that hard. In all honesty, I worked for Evenflow in the customer service department for a few years, and I'm telling you, I had a skit. They gave me a piece of paper. They said, here you go. You know, these are the key points that you have to hit when you're on the telephone with someone. And let me tell you, once you get it down, it's like it's embedded.
Get that shit down, y'all. So anyhow, guys, we got to go.
Got to go.
We appreciate you for coming along this podcast, and it was fast and furious, but it was good to see you.
I hope everybody's out there, like, just out there grinding,
Absolutely.
doing their thing, killing it.
All right, everybody, we appreciate you. We're going to see you on that next one.
And remember, it's all about the motherfucking hustle.
Pew, pew.
Bang, bang.